Chi and I are at the base of the Jiaming Lake hike, just about to get started on the trip, doing a little lunch before setting out. Only a couple of hours hike to get to the first hut, which is where we're staying tonight. I think it's meant to be about a 600-meter climb. We just stopped at a little viewpoint here, but unfortunately there is no view. It's a bit foggy. So yesterday when we were driving, we encountered a very heavy rainstorm, so if we're lucky, we don't think we're going to have one of them. I think we're good now. There was a typhoon in the forecast, but it seems kind of far away and heading to
It's pretty dry.
Yeah.
It's been pretty dry.
Yeah. Low humidity today.
So we have covered 1.5 kilometers. My bag is pretty heavy, but Ben's bag is even heavier than me. So we're gonna have a fight for whose food should be eaten first. So tomorrow's bag will be a little bit lighter.
I knew we should have brought some scales.
We are officially at the entrance. I thought we were at the entrance 1 hour ago, and the Ben just crushed my hope. We still have how many? 200-meter gang?
A little less than 300 meters.
A little bit less than 300 meters to do, and I'm pretty exhausted already. We're very close to the cabin. We just passed a really nice river. Apparently you run through the toilet of the cabin, so you're not supposed to drink.
How are you feeling?
Pretty good.
Your energy levels have doubled now that you don't have a hill in front of you?
No, so after you helped me readjust the bag, it was definitely good.
Yeah,
but
it was hanging on your shoulders a bit too much before.
It was also much more flat than the first one.
Oh yeah, last bit was great.
Wow, 2 and the 24.
Oh, we're slower.
We're 4 minutes over the government's recommendation.
Yeah,
program.
map said 2 hours 20 minutes. We always assume that's a grandma time. We managed to be slower.
Snacking and
yeah, it's true.
resting.
Oh yes, we stopped for lunch. It's the morning of day 2 on our little hike up to Jiaming Lake. We are at the hut still, which is pretty unusual, it turns out. We're the only ones here at this hour. So 6:30 now, and I think basically the first people were getting up at 2:30, and there was a lot of stomping around the hut from about 2:30 until, let's say, around 5:30, when I think probably about the last people had left. Anyway, reheating some of last night's leftovers and making some other stuff for breakfast, and we are gonna set off on our way probably in the next 20-30 minutes. Just give a quick little tour of the hut here so you can see what it's like. It's quite dark in here, could use a skylight actually, but yeah, overall pretty nice. Like there's curtains, individual curtains for each little person's space, and a pretty firm but functional foam pad.
So we have started our second day hike at 8 o'clock, and everyone is already gone.
Should I be reading a book?
It is pretty incredible how little we have covered.
I wouldn't say so. I think you're doing very well.
We're not even half there yet.
I think that's great. We barely started. I think we're about 2/3 of the way to the hut now, at least in terms of the amount of height that we've got to gain. Pretty good views. It's opened up now, so the trees are mostly gone here. I think from here it's going to be a little bit of climbing, but mostly smooth traveling for the rest of the way until Jiaming Hut. She's looking at me with a look of complete shock. Smooth, by smooth I don't mean flat. I just mean we're going to handle it pretty without too much struggle. She was suffering from nausea before.
No, what are you talking about?
She was talking about suffering from nausea, but that was just to make me feel better. Just gone around the corner from our last little stop, and below me now I can see the road that leads from Tainan. It's one of those roads that keeps getting washed away every time there's an earthquake or typhoon. So it's just an endless construction job, not currently open. Just behind me is Jiaming Lake hut. That's been a 600 meter climb and about a 4 kilometer journey, which somehow has taken us about 3.5 hours. So not breaking any speed records today, that's certainly true, but we've made it here in the end. Just had lunch and we are going to head to Jiaming Lake this afternoon, which is supposedly about 2 hours each way. And it is currently 12:30?
I think 2.5 is safer.
2.5, 5 hours return. We were told 6 actually. So we'll get back a little after sunset. I think a little bit before. Anyway, this hut's got a nice balcony here. Similar kind of dining setup and a good view. We have made it to Jiaming Lake. Easy. I think we're both feeling a little bit tired, but we still have the trip back to the hut, which is another 4 kilometers, and we're planning to walk down to the lake itself, which is just below us. I think it's about 50 meter descent from my little glance at the map. So we have arrived at Jiaming Hut and just had dinner. So it was a pretty big day today. The climb to get to the hut initially, 600 meters, wore us out more than the 600 meter climb we did yesterday. And then to Jiaming and back was about a 600 meter climb with the up and down, which was kind of the nail in the coffin for us. We've set up the tent for the night, so we decided to camp here just to avoid the noise from the hut. Last night's cabin didn't have a camping option, so that's why we ended up in there. Anyway, it's starting to get dark, but nice little view down there. You can see clouds down in the valley below. So pretty nice little outlook for tonight's camping spot. Well, it is the morning of day 3. We had our little night in a tent.
Very, very cozy.
She's hidden away. It was pretty cold, but we've both got pretty good sleeping bags, thankfully. We were going to bring a lighter sleeping bag, actually, and it's good news that we both brought heavy sleeping bags in the end. I think it was probably like 4 degrees or something at some point, but I'll check later on. Anyway, if I spin the camera around, we've got a pretty good view this morning. Ooh, yeah.
Too bright.
There it is. Pretty good. So Chi's actually still here somewhere. We're just, I guess, starting to wonder if and when we should get up.
Yeah.
There's a crowd of hikers that have parked themselves about 10 meters away, having very lively conversations this morning at 6:30. Which is okay for us, I suppose. We woke up, we slept early. You went to sleep at like 6:30 almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chi, like we started listening to a podcast. I try to stay up a little bit later than that, even though we're both tired, because I know that can be a problem to sleep that early. But she basically went straight to sleep at 6:30 and yeah, pretty much woke up at 6:30.
I woke up probably 3 times.
Yeah.
During the night.
I had a bit of light sleep here and there as well. But if you exclude that, pretty much 6:30 till 6:30 for you and 8:30 till 6:30 for me. So not too bad. So we've set out from the hut and rediscovered the little climb. We thought we were going to be heading downhill all the way, but actually there's a little bit of a climb to get out of the hut. Got a little bit more of that, ascending very slightly from here, and then from there more or less is, I think, downhill all the way to the car. It's about midday now and we have returned to the car, feeling very triumphant. Yeah, this was one of those rare times where we managed to not injure ourselves in the last little stretch. The only thing we've got in mind as a priority is having some vegetable vegetable focused meal. Yeah, so we're gonna drive off down the hill and find somewhere to get something to eat. But anyway, that's it. That's the end of this little Jiaming Lake hike.
Little.
Medium.
Okay, good. We can settle with that.